Hello gorgeous, welcome back to my channel. And today I am going to be talking about not minding what happens, which is one of the secrets to maintaining your inner peace and inner joy. So I've learned this concept from so many places, but recently I was reading this book by Eckhart Tolle, A New Art, and one of the things that he emphasized on was the concept of staying present, staying in the moment, and not minding what happens. When you are able to make yourself remain in the moment, you would worry less about what would happen after that moment, what would have happened in the future. And this is a real game changer. I've been able to practice this to some extent, and I love it so much. So if you have time, I think it's a book you should read. Find time and grab the book. Please don't mind the noise. It's a full house. My sisters and my kids that all around the house. So, but I hope you can still hear me and focus on this. So the whole concept of not minding what happens, it means that whether you have something or you don't, it doesn't really matter, as long as at that present moment, where as at the time when they are reading, listening to this video or watching me, think about it. Right this moment, what you and I have in our bank accounts doesn't really matter. Like, we are breathing and we're able to just hold our phone and watch a YouTube video. So if you can bring all of your focus and all of your attention away from the past, away from what happened earlier today, away from what will happen 10 minutes from now, and you can just stay right here with me and just listen to me and just be here, imagine how freeing that would be. And then you can imagine what would happen when you are able to sustain that kind of presence many times in a day. It is going to be really, really huge for a lot of us. But usually the nature of us being humans, it means that our attention shifts and that we are easily swayed by things that are going on around us. And that is the work that we must do. We must learn to always find that space to call ourselves back, sit down and remind yourself, like, see, it is only this present moment that matters. And in this present moment, what do I lack? What do I need that I don't have? And if you would agree with me, usually it will be really nothing. You are okay. It's just that, oh, maybe you're thinking, tomorrow I have to pay my rent, or maybe in 2 weeks I have to pay school fees, blah blah blah. But those times, they have not even come yet. And the only way to successfully navigate those future events is if you can successfully remain grounded. Maybe you're at work. Imagine if you can focus 100% of your time and attention and just get into the work. A lot of things will happen. Number one, you're going to so much enjoy yourself. When you enter the zone and you're in the flow and you're just doing what you really enjoy doing, and you just forget yourself. I think that's the word. If you practice being present, what you would see over time is that you're able to forget yourself. And when you forget yourself, that self is the issue. If you can forget it once in a while, you will be happier, you will be more at peace. So 4 things if you want to master this whole concept. Number 1 is that human drama would not really be a big deal. There's always this tendency of our ego, that self that I mentioned before, that ego to get attached to things, to react to things. We have that strong tendency as human beings. But if you are like, well, whatever happens, if you practice that and remain present more, you would realize that you're not really attached to the drama that is happening around you. Oh, this breaking news, oh, gossip, this it doesn't really concern you. Even if you partake in a little gossip or in a little maybe news or whatever, you realize that over time you're able to really not really get attached. And that's because you are able to say, okay, you know what, whatever happens, right? So meaning that good or bad, you're able to just, sit still and just take it and like, okay, whatever happens, happens. It is what it is. Whether you're single or in a relationship, all right, whatever happens, happens. Whether you have money now, you have money later, you're able to just stay grounded, stay present, and just, enjoy the moment. So over time, the second thing you realize that is that you are not really personalizing events that are happening, or scenarios that are happening around you. I experienced something like this. I think last week, where one of my superiors on one of my projects that I was working on got very upset with me. I think there was a break in communication, and then this person was really lashing out at me, and I didn't do it. And in that moment, when that person started lashing at me, my ego, I will not say me, my ego felt really offended. But because I've been practicing a lot of, presence and mindfulness, I was able to recognize, even as I was listening, because it went on and on and on. Even as I listened, I was able to recognize that, okay, the reason why I'm feeling triggered is because it's my ego that is in front, that is taking charge. In the real sense of the word, this thing that this person is saying, number one, is not true, and number two, even if it was true, I'm still me. It doesn't affect me. It's just words, and this person is just upset. They already had a crazy day, and things didn't go as they expected, and well, understandably, they are reacting to that. And I was just there. I was just quiet. I was just listening. And when this person finished, I said, okay, no problem. The person said, you know what, this. I didn't engage. And what happened was, after the person just said all the things they wanted to say, they were like, okay, by this. I'm doing a video. Can you come back in 5 minutes? Thank you. That's my son. Please come back in 5 minutes. Thank you. So I was able to sustain myself and hold myself. And when they finished, I was like, okay. They gave some very, very hard deadlines, like, okay, yeah, for this. I was like, oh, okay, no problem. And as I got off the call, I must be honest, I was a little upset. Because that's just the human thing to feel. So I just sat down, and then the information that this person was missing that made them talk to me that way was supposed to be relayed to them by somebody else. So I got upset with the person, I got upset with that person, and I was thinking, I sat down, and I felt really upset. I thought that if I lashed out at that person that was supposed to give them that information, maybe I'll feel better. But again, I was able to recognize that this is just drama. This is just ego. Like, it doesn't really matter. This thing will be resolved. I don't have to drag other people into it. So I started looking for ways to just, pacify myself, to remind myself who I am, and how what people say angrily to me, it doesn't really, hold any real, I don't know, consequence or real weight over who I am and what I do and what I'm capable of and my capacity and my skills. It doesn't really affect any of that. This person is just upset because something is not the way they wanted it to be. That's all. So I sat down, and that took maybe 5 minutes, and as I was calming myself and pacifying myself, the ego part of me that wanted to react and just transfer that that upset feeling that I got from that person. I wanted to transfer it to somebody else, and the ego part of me was like, write a text or call them, and this. And then I wrote that text. But like I said, I was really conscious, and so I was like, you're not going to send this, because even if you send this, it's just because you're upset. It's just because you're taking it personal, which is where I'm going to, you're taking this event personal, and this is not personal. Life happens, things, deadlines change, things just happen. You don't have to take it personal. And as I just sat there and I was just thinking about it, this person that called me earlier to say some really strong words against me, they called me back and they say, oh, I'm calling to apologize. And I was like, what? And as they said that, I'm like, no, like, is I said I tried to stop them, like, oh, you know what, it's okay. I wanted to say that I also take responsibility for my part in all of this. There was a breach in communication, and if had done some extra stuff, maybe it wouldn't have happened. But they didn't even allow me to say anything. They were like, no, 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 no. I said some pretty strong words against you. I take it back. And then they explained, and then I kept quiet, sat in my femininity, and just listened to all the explanation. And then after they explained, we renegotiated. Like, okay, I told them, okay, so I will not be able to. I took the time because at first when they were like, tomorrow, I didn't say anything. So now that we're communicating more, in more healthy ways, I was able to say, okay, I wasn't aware of this thing that you were upset about, but at my earliest, so I said my earliest time, I'm going to sit down, make it priority, and then I would, give you feedback. And as I was having that conversation, I got, a call waiting, and it's from that person that was about to, send that text to, as I got upset. I wanted to just send one upsetting text to that person. The person called me, so I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm like, whoa, 2 apologies in a row. I'm so sorry. I thought, somehow that first person I told you, but apparently the first person was expecting the second person to tell me. So eventually I wasn't aware of anything, and then the whole thing happened. So, and that was how, by me being present, by me being paying that by paying that extra attention to what was going on within me, by catching the ego who was getting upset, by knowing that that is not really who I am, I was able to delay any reaction. And as I was planning that, okay, how will I respond to this, I didn't even have to. The whole situation just fizzled out on its own, if you get what I mean. Everything just resolved, and all of this happens within like maybe 10-15 minutes. Everything resolved. So you can imagine what would have happened if, out of being upset, I also said some strong words to the other person, and then maybe the other person, it would have been a mess, a bigger mess. And when this happened, I was really touched to my core. In fact, I had like tears in my eyes, and I was thinking that, okay, this is what probably, not exactly, but this is probably what Jesus meant when he said, when somebody slaps you, turn the other cheek. Basically, not getting drawn into human drama, not personalizing events. Like, it's not really about you. And if you're able to just stay present and stay knowing who you are and what you're made of, and finding that peace within yourself, you would react less. And then even when you have to do 1 or 2 things, it will be out of you will be responding. You won't be just overreacting or reacting anyway. So in doing all those things that I did in that scenario, I was able to create something called non-resistance to the whole situation. And when you're able to create non-resistance to things in life, life just flows. When you create non-resistance, it means you're allowing things to move naturally, because the nature is really intelligent, and the world is on its own. It will just happen. This